Well, just to start off, first, just congratulations to Xavier Rhodes for AFC Defensive Player of the Week. Obviously, well deserved. Played well, had the big play. So congratulations to Xavier. Sure glad he's here and a Colt. Just Bears week, going up against a 3-0 team, right on the road, be a good test in all three phases. Good football team. There's obviously 3-0 for a reason. Come back and won a couple exciting comeback games. Going up, the change in quarterback, that's right. That's a big deal. Obviously have some familiarity with Nick. I have a lot of respect for him. He's a great player. They're well coached in all three phases, and it'd be a good challenge for us. We got to focus on what we do. So we're focused on getting better every week. We need to have a good week of practice and to get ready to get on the road against a very good football team. Just a quick note for practice. That Trey Burton and Sheldon Day are both designated to return for practice. They'll be limited today. So we'll look forward to getting them back out there and evaluate them this week as the week goes on. I'll give you a quick update on Michael Pittman. He's healing well, and all's going well though. So we'll obviously keep a close eye on him, but all things are going well. And then lastly, just with Paris, Paris's procedure is today. So, we're just, looking forward to him having a good procedure and begin the recovery process. So I'll open it up from there.
All right, we'll go Charlie Clifford.
Coach, the move with bringing Hogan back and releasing Chad, just any insight on that decision?
Yeah, just with the receiver situation that we've had, needed to get another receiver in here. Obviously, we have some experience with Krishan and think highly of him. So we're excited to have him back. The move with Chad is tough because, and we still love Chad. Who knows? You never know how it plays out. But Chad works as hard as anybody in this building. I got a lot of respect for Chad and really happy with the progress that he's made. And we still think very highly of Chad.
Mike Chappell.
Frank, you told us in the offseason how, like, with a player like Naheem, he might see a lot of touches one game and not much. And that's kind of been the case so far. But then this last game, Jack Doyle, no targets. How do you approach these players and say this is maybe how it be with your role from game to game, or do they just understand that?
They just understand it. We make it clear from the start. And these guys are smart, right? When we put the game plan in, and like when the drawings are going up and you get to see where the personnel groupings are, they get a sense of where the ball is going. But like any other game, we might have 100 passes in, but you're not going to call 100, or we might have 75 passes in. You're not going to call that many. So you never know which ones are going to get called. And that's just dictated by the flow of the game, the coverages that are being played, and, and just the whole flow of the game, as I mentioned. So guys are unselfish. That's what makes this work. We got to be team first. You go a game without a touch or two or a few touches, and then the next game you're the hero. So guys buy into that. We appreciate and respect that.
George Bremer.
I think it was Monday, might have been Sunday, Coach. You were talking about hidden yardage and the importance to games. How big of a weapon in that regard is Cordarrelle Patterson for the Bears, and how big of a weapon has Rigoberto Sanchez been for you?
Yeah, well, Patterson, he's the best in the league. He's an aggressive returner. He'll bring it out from anywhere. A lot of guys in this league, if the ball's kicked into the end zone, are given the instruction just stay in, but he's given the freedom to take anything out at any time. And, he's just got great vision. The other thing that Patterson has as a returner, he just has great strength. He's hard to bring down. He's a big, strong man and fast. So, and he's been consistently one of the best. So it's a really good challenge for our special teams. Rigo, we feel Rigo is equally a great weapon for us. So we felt that way from the beginning. He's been outstanding this year. He's outstanding in practice. So talented, and you can't ever underestimate, how important that plays into a game.
Andrew Walker.
Coach, with Sheldon Day, you guys obviously haven't had too much on-field experience with him, but he was brought here for a reason, to bolster that in defensive interior. If he's able to get back, what's your hope that he brings to the defense? I mean, you've already had some pretty solid play out of that group so far.
Yeah, no, we're just looking, he was brought here just to bring us some, power and stoutness inside versus the run. When you get those big interior guys, you're really talking about run stoppers. And anything you get in the pass is really a bonus. But, we think highly of Sheldon. Like you said, I'm still getting to know him as a player because we haven't seen a whole lot of him on the field other than what I've seen on tape, but excited to get him back out on the practice field.
Kevin Bowen.
Hey, Frank, obviously it's a little different circumstance, but in your history around the league and facing teams that let you go, do you find yourself a little extra juice during that week?
I think all players naturally feel that. I think you have to really dial that back a little bit. Personally, that's just my opinion. You got to focus on your game, what you're doing. Just having seen and been in that situation a few times, that's just my experience. Don't get too caught up in the emotion of that. Just focus on the game and what you got to do.
Joel Erickson.
Frank, when you look at third down so far offensively, what's been going wrong?
Small sample size, number one. Number two, we've had a number of fourth down conversions. We've had, I don't know this for a fact, Joel, but I think like last week we only had 10. That's a lower number than you normally get because we've been really efficient on first and second down. And then, we just got to do a better job of coaching and playing, of getting our players in the best position and then executing what's called. Where it's really disappointing, Joel, is we're 0 for 4 in 3rd and 2 to 3. Where normally I would think we'd be, 4 for 4 there. So that's where. So really, in the medium and longer distances, our percentages are actually solid. Where we've been below average is in the shorter distances on third down. So we got to get that corrected.
Okay, we'll do 3 more. Jim Aiello.
Hey, Frank. Question about Mo. If you were being brutally honest about when you first got here and his route running versus what it is now, and just like I said, just trying to establish a baseline. But where was he when you first got here in terms of the route running?
Just raw and just lacked detail. Lacked detail in his routes when we first got here. The footwork in his routes was not tight and clean. He's a big man, so he's not going to be as nimble as a Trey Burton, but it just needed to improve to the degree where there's some sharpness, in the breaks, and there's some consistency in the footwork. And he's worked really hard at that, to his credit. I mean, Mo is the consummate pro. And we got a number of guys like that, but Mo certainly falls in that category. He's worked very, very hard at it. And so the success that he's having, right, is really a credit to him.
Mike Wells.
Hey, Frank, now that you're 3 games in, I wanted to ask you how, and if you've been in either an empty or, a smaller size stadium, how has the lack of fan base impacted your communication for the better or the worse throughout the game?
I mean, I think as an offense, the communication has been better. You don't have to deal with crowd noise. I mean, we're going in to play the Bears, and we don't have to worry about crowd noise. They'll play the piped-in crowd noise, but it'll be at an acceptable decibel level where it shouldn't be a factor. So it enhances offensive communication. You have to be a little conscious of what you're saying so that the defense doesn't hear too much. So from that standpoint, I just think it's been overall, it's favored offenses in communication in that regard.
And then I want to ask you a follow-up question. Even going back to when you were playing at other stops, what about the travel, the overall travel experience? Now that you guys aren't having, quote unquote, the same freedom to do what you want when you travel on the road.
Yeah, I mean, I think our organization has done a great job of setting everything up. We have very clear plan, detail. We follow the protocols to the letter of the law. What we've done is we've adjusted our schedule on the road where normally we would leave, 2.5 hours approximately from the time we got to the hotel until our first meeting, to allow guys to go out to dinner. Well, and then you start meetings later, and you might end meetings at 10 o'clock. Now we go on the road. We don't need we're not leaving 2.5 hours. We're leaving an hour and a half rather than 2.5 hours. So we finish meetings a little bit earlier on the road, just get guys can get some rest. And that's really been the biggest adjustment.
Stephen Holder.
Hey, Frank, I don't know if you can comment on this at all, but I guess it's been said, I guess by the agent, that you signed this player from Dallas, Rondell Carter. I guess he's probably going through testing, but is there anything you can confirm there, or can you address him as a player and what you're looking for at defensive line right now?
Yeah, no, I can confirm that he is going through COVID testing, and that all clears, we'll sign him. We're excited. Chris and his staff have had their eye on him. It's a guy who really fits us, fits the style of play, fits the kind of person, the character of the player is very strong, and then the style of the player fits our defense. So, I think this will be a good move for us. We're excited. You guys know at D-line and O-line, you just can never have enough depth. And so when you can get a quality player and it times out right, there's always a lot of considerations. So the timing of it has to be right. But we felt the right time to do it.
Stacey Dales, did you want to ask one real quick? Last one here.
If I may, that would be awesome. Frank, I'm just, Foles so well. What are you expecting from him, given his newness to the Bears? And then, where does he excel the most that concerns you?
Nick is a very cool customer. He's, unflappable. He is an elite deep ball thrower. He's a great field player. He's got great instincts and a great feel for the game. Nick is fearless in the pocket. He's one of those quarterbacks who he stands in the pocket and the rush doesn't bother him. He'll stand there till the last second, in order, because he sees something coming open down the field and he knows he can make the throw, like he did last week. That's just been indicative of him his whole career. So it'll be a good challenge for us, a good challenge for our defense. They'll challenge us with the deep ball because that's what he likes to do. He likes to throw the ball deep. Nick is also, talented as far as he can throw from every arm angle. Nick was a really good basketball player, like a point guard. So, as far as sidearm delivery, a lot of things that Phillip can do like that. I mean, he's a magician with the ball. So Nick's really good at all the RPO stuff. I'm sure that'll be a little bit of an emphasis with him in there. He reads that stuff and sees it very well, and he's good with the ball like that. So, talented player, but I like our defense. I like our defense. I like our plan. I think Flus and the guys have come up with a good plan, to attack their offense, and it's going to be a great game. I think you have two good football teams, two well-coached teams. We're looking forward to the contest.